veterans, venerable academicians, respected faculty members, and dearest students. A very good morning and Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of Center of Research and Innovation in Maritime Affairs, I, Dr. Waqasia Naeem, Assistant Director CRIMA, welcomes you all to the second International Maritime Conference titled as Sea of Opportunity, Enhancing Maritime Transportation and Global Connectivity. We are very glad to receive you here at Minhaj University, Lahore, to attend this year's conference. Dear audience, this conference will provide a plenty of opportunities to discuss maritime transport and global connectivity, and to share knowledge and insights on the key issues of green shipping, sustainable ports, and trade corridors. We are pleased to share that this year we are joined by the participants from Pakistan as well as around the globe. Also, today's conference will be live telecasted in the auditoriums of National Institute of Maritime Affairs at Karachi and Islamabad. Ladies and gentlemen, before starting today's program, please join me in welcoming the esteemed Vice Chancellor, Minhaj University, Lahore, and a Navy veteran, Professor Dr. Sajid Mahmood Shehzad, to the stage. Professor Dr. Sajid Mahmood Shehzad. It's my pleasure to invite Professor Dr. Hussain Muhyiddin Kadri, Deputy Chairman, Board of Governors, Minhaj University, Lahore. Sir, please join us on stage. Please join me in welcoming His Excellency Domos Bastag, Consul General, Turkish Consulate General, to stage. Please, sir, take your seat. Please welcome His Excellency Ali Asghar Mughari, Acting Consul General, Iranian Consulate General, Lahore, Pakistan. Sir, please be seated on stage. Dear audience, we are honored to have a flag officer among us today. Please welcome Rear Admiral Azhar Mahmood, Sitara Imtiaz Military, Commander at Pakistan Navy War College. Sir, please take your seat on stage. Thank you so much. To begin our program with the blessings of Allah, I would request Qari Khalid Hamid Kazmi for the recitation of the verses from the Holy Quran. Qari Khalid Hamid Kazmi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله الذي سخر لكم البحر لتجري الفلك فيه بأمره ولتبتغوا من فضله ولعلكم تشكرون الله الذي سخر لكم البحر لتجري الفلك فيه بحره ولتبتغوا من فضله ولعلكم تشكرون وسخر لكم ما في السماوات وما في الأرض جميعا منه إن في ذلك لآيات لقوم يتفكرون قل للذين آمنوا يغفروا للذين لا يرجون أيام الله ليجزي قوما بما كانوا يكسبون من عمل صالحا فلنفسه ومن أساء فعليها ثم إلى ربكم ترجعون صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah, and thank you for enlightening our participants by sharing verses that underscore the significance of delving into sea resources. To recite Qasida Burda Sharif, please welcome our highly esteemed and well-acclaimed Dr. Sarwar Hussain Naqshbandi, Director Hassan bin Sabit Center for Research in Naat Literature at Minhaj University, Lahore. Dr. Sarwar Hussain Naqshbandi.
مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين محمد سيد الكونين والثقلين والفريقين من عرب ومن عجب مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم هو الحبيب الذي ترجى شفاعته ترجى شفاعته لكل غول من الأهوال مقتحم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم مولاي صل وسلم دائما أبدا.
Jazakallah. May I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem. Thank you. Respected audience, it is a sheer pleasure to introduce Minhaj University, Lahore, a leading institution dedicated to academic excellence and innovation. With a rich history of nurturing bright minds, professionally sound and ethically strong individuals, MUL stands as a beacon of knowledge and progress. MUL proudly introduces Center of Research and Innovation in Maritime Affairs as a unique center dedicated to creating awareness, sharing research input, and policy recommendations regarding the crucial issues in maritime sector. Let's embark on a visual tour of rich legacy and vibrant campus life that define our institution. Also, we will navigate through the achievements of CRIMA. Enjoy the voyage.
Welcome to the journey of turning your professional dreams into reality with Minhaj University, Lahore. Founded by Sheikhul Islam Professor Dr. Muhammad Tahirul Kadri in 1986 and being led by the Deputy Chairman, Board of Governors, a very well-known educationist, philosopher and economist, Dr. Hussain Mohiuddin Kadri. MUL is a rapidly growing university under the supervision of the Vice Chancellor Professor Dr. Sajid Mahmood Shehzad. It is renowned for its excellence in delivering quality education and conducting innovative researches.
Minhaj University Lahore was founded by Sheikhul Islam Professor Dr. Muhammad Tahirul Kadri in 1986 with a vision to produce a generation of great intellectuals and professionals coated in Islamic moral values and love for Pakistan. Here at Minhaj University Lahore, tens of millions of worth of scholarship is annually given to the deserving students. Minhaj University Lahore has a unique features such as research and international collaborations. Here at university, students have access to all national and international e-resources and databases in a very well-equipped libraries and laboratories.
University comprises of 11 faculties, 36 academic schools, 15,000 students, 500 permanent and adjunct faculty, more than 300 PhD faculty members, 11 research centers, and publishes 7 research journals.
At our campus, we fully understand and accept the profound significance that lies in attending professionals, conferences, webinars, and conventions. The noble goals of Minhaj University is to conduct in-depth research that leads to a world ruled by the power of knowledge, not biasness and conflicts. Research matters in university affairs, and Minhaj University Lahore is unique. It is unique because it has highly efficient research centers such as Hassan bin Sabit Center for Research in North Literature, the Center of Research and Innovation in Maritime Affairs, and Center for Economic Planning and Development, and then many research journals which are recognized by Higher Education Commission.
We provide a distinguished educational experience for students based on real-life experiences through seminars, educational visits, and guest lectures. Community activities are also arranged to create a positive impact on society. Our legendary faculty is the heart of MUL. Highly qualified national and international faculty is available to mentor, guide, and inspire the students. With us, students enjoy the most safe and diverse culture while learning appreciation, humanity, respect, and ethical norms.
Minhaj University Lahore is wholeheartedly dedicated to provide competency-based education through practical learning and hands-on experience, even job opportunities and internships to its students. The university has been working hard for the promotion of societal norms, for the development of the society, and to contribute to the economic growth of Pakistan. For this purpose, we urge and provide facilities to our students to go for internships, to go for entrepreneurship, and to do the e-commerce related activities. Minhaj University Lahore believes that the universities are engines of advanced knowledge, thoughts, and ideas. And for that purpose, we have 11 research centers, and those research centers published different research reports, periodicals, organized conferences, seminars, and workshops. To achieve zeniths of excellence, we have accomplished a lot and will continue to do so in the coming days.
To increase the scientific, technological, and research thoughts and enhance the practical knowledge of our students, we have various advanced research laboratories, TV, and radio studios. MUL's proud distinction is its Ibn Sina Library and Resource Center and Modern Robotic Library. It is a multidisciplinary library designed to meet the reading needs and serve as a reliable source for the university's faculty, students, researchers, and staff. The library has an inquisitive infrastructure, an extensive collection of more than 50,000 printed and 150,000 electronic books, and digital access to HEC databases on various disciplines. Sports enhances social and cultural life by bringing together individuals and communities. To induce the sportsmanship in the students and groom them into good athletic personalities, yearly sports gala, inter-university annual tournaments, and cultural events are organized. Students take refreshing breaks from the studies at our cafeterias, where we serve health-consciously prepared Pakistani and continental meals. Research conferences offer the opportunity to learn from peers, leaders, and research scholars alike, and forge useful connections about the latest research work. Until now, 13 successful research conferences have been conducted by Admiral addressing some very crucial topics of prominent fields. At Minhaj University, Lahore, we make education more accessible and easier to afford by offering numerous financial aids, fee concessions, and scholarships. Join us to unlock your potentials and be one of the leading professionals of your field. Center of Research and Innovation in Maritime Affairs at Admiral, where the oceans meet innovation. Let's navigate through the endless possibilities offered by the seas and explored by CRIMA.
Ocean Day is celebrated around the globe on 8th of June every year. So on 8th June 2021, Center of Research and Innovation in Maritime Affairs, widely known as CRIMA, was established at Minhaj University, Lahore. God has blessed Pakistan with 290,000 square kilometers of area out at sea.
Our mission is to foster a deeper understanding and appreciation of maritime heritage, promote sustainable marine practices, and facilitate innovation in maritime technologies.
The center aims to promote awareness, highlight potentials and challenges in different domains of maritime for the economic development of Pakistan and improve the living standards of its citizens.
The center offers workshops, lectures, seminars, and conferences on maritime history, trade, navigation, and oceanography, along with conducting and supporting research on marine ecosystems.
Center of Research and Innovation at Minhaj University, Lahore primarily focuses to promote maritime awareness and scientific knowledge through seminars, workshops, as well as national, international conferences and symposium, and by publishing a quarterly newsletter and biannual journal.
We organize community events to foster local engagement and interest in maritime issues. The center promotes collaborative research projects between academic institutions, industry, and government agencies.
CRIMA aims to play a vital role in shaping the future of the maritime sector, driving innovation and addressing the challenges faced by Pakistan and worldwide.
So what we need to do is we need to spread maritime awareness and maritime education in entire Pakistan.
Thank you. I hope you have enjoyed the virtual journey. Moving on to our first speech of the day, let me take this opportunity to introduce the brain who conceived the idea of this center. Before joining Minhaj University, Lahore, he held key positions in his naval tenure, such as serving as Director, Maritime Affairs and Environmental Control at Naval Headquarters, Islamabad, and holding strategic positions in Pakistan Maritime Security Agency. Proving himself as a true role model for his successors, he gained a doctorate from the University of Punjab, succeeding MPhil with top distinction from National Defence University in International Relations. An acclaimed author, a diligent researcher, and a Navy veteran, currently serving as the Vice Chancellor, Minhaj University, Lahore. Let's give a very warm welcome to Professor Dr. Sajid Mahmood Shehzad to deliver the welcome speech. Dr. Sajid Mahmood Shehzad.
Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Honorable Deputy Chairman, Board of Governors, Minhaj University, Lahore. Flag officers, distinguished guests, keynote speakers, respected panelists, paper presenters, worthy deans, head of the department, faculty members, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Minhaj University, Lahore, and the Center of Research and Innovation in Maritime Affairs, widely known as CRIMA, I welcome you all to this second International Maritime Conference. Founded in 1986, Minhaj University, Lahore has emerged as a beacon of knowledge, raising over 15,000 students across 11 faculties and over 150 departments, recognized by the Higher Education Commission in W3 category. Minhaj University is proud of promoting the culture of innovative research and scholarly activities. It is the home of 11 research centers, each offering its distinct indigenous framework and dedicated to delivering their utmost excellence. This shows our commitment to research and innovation in the domain of education. Among these research centers, CRIMA concerned with the maritime sectors and the policy making of maritime affairs. Minhaj University Lahore recognizes the significance of maritime sector in shaping the future of nations and economies. Hence, the Center of Research of Innovation in Maritime Affairs was established. CRIMA provides scholarly insights and research-based recommendations to the policymakers and industry stakeholders. The center is committed to advancing the concept of blue economy, promoting sustainable practices that not only boost the economy, economic growth, but also preserve our maritime resources for the future generations. CRIMA intends to bridge the gap between professionals, academia, and industry by developing collaboration and the knowledge exchange within maritime sector. Dear audience, CRIMA mission is to bring the maritime affairs to limelight, and we are glad to announce that the academia has now begun to ponder that there is much more to be accomplished in this critical domain of the blue economy, especially for the growing economies like Pakistan. It is a matter of utmost pride and honor that there is no other maritime research center which is recently established at any of the university in Pakistan. Nevertheless, it has accomplished significant milestone in a short span of time, that is from 2021 till date. The center has published 11 issues of quarterly newsletter, 5 issues of biannual journals, that is Journal of Nautical Eye and Strategic Studies. 2 annual reports have been published. 50 seminars we have conducted up to now. 2 summers and 3 winter schools we have conducted, and several book talks and discussions have been held here. 2 national and international conferences, and the International Maritime Conference 2024 is the second in the row of these conferences. Let me take the opportunity to apprise you with the program of today. Today's conference will navigate a range of critical issues and innovative solutions across 6 keynote speakers, 2 panel discussions, and conference sub-theme, and then thereafter there will be 2 concurrent technical sessions. The first keynote speech will be delivered by Rear Admiral Azhar Mahmood, Sitara Imtiaz Military, Commandant Pakistan Navy War College, Lahore. And the second keynote speech will be delivered by the Honorable Professor Dr. Hussain Mahiuddin Kadri, Deputy Chairman, Board of Governors, Minhaj University, Lahore. Subsequently, there will be first panel discussion on the green shipping, in which our experts will deliberate on clean fuels and technology for green shipping, strategies and counter-strategies, empowering local communities through sustainable shipping, and the dangers of pollution for maritime transportation will be discussed. After namaz and lunch break, 2 concurrent technical sessions will be held. Researchers and scholars from all over the world, notably from Turkey, Malaysia, China, Nigeria, Brunei Darussalam, Bangladesh, United States of America, and United Kingdom will be presenting their insight research papers. After that, there will be second panel discussion on the theme Sustainable and Trade Corridor. The learned panelists will engage in discussion regarding building smart and sustainable ports, connecting and developing vulnerable communities through the ports, future of maritime workforce, securing threatened as well as emerging trade corridors. And then finally, there will be a concluding session where Vice Admiral Ahmed Saeed Halale Imtiaz Military, President, National Institute of Maritime Affairs, will be delivering the concluding speech. Lastly, the conference declaration will be presented by Dr. Muhammad Ishfaq, Director CRIMA. Before we board this intellectual journey, let me remind ourselves for the undeniable fact that our planet comprises of 30% of land and 70% of waters. To me, this 30% and 70% are the resources. The 30% resources on land are being eaten up by 8.2 billion individuals. I am not counting the animals and the birds. Only the 8.2 billion individuals are eating up these resources. So the maritime nations have started paying attention towards the 70% resources which are lying out at sea. Pakistan is left far behind. I think now it is the time we should also pay attention towards the maritime affairs and towards the blue economy. So for that, it is vital that we direct our focus towards the vast resources that lie within the oceans. The economic solution to many of our upcoming challenges is hidden in blue economy. However, to unlock this potential, we must adopt a collaborative and inclusive approach, bringing together the professionals, academia, and the industry and the policymakers together on one stage to navigate the path of sustainable maritime development. This conference is convened with the aim to bring all the stakeholders together on one platform and to deliberate the path ahead. The imperative of sustainable maritime practices has never been so apparent than in the present time. So these practices will not only save the custodian of our maritime ecosystem, but for all that contribute to the sustainability and resilience of the global maritime sector. Ladies and gentlemen, during this shortly scholarly journey, the collective wisdom and skill will be acquired, which is needed to chart the course for the future towards the blue future of this planet and this country. In the end, I would like to thank the member of CRIMA, organizing committees, volunteer students, and the sponsors of this conference. My special thank goes to our foreign friends who are present in this hall today. I highly appreciate the researchers from all over the world who are going to present their valuable studies during technical sessions today. I'm also indebted to Normal University, China, proud partner and a co-host with us today for IMC 2024. Also, I would like to extend my gratitude to National Institute of Maritime Affairs, Bahria University, Pakistan Navy War College, above all, Pakistan Navy, for their kind support. Without their support and help, this conference would not have been possible. I once again welcome you all to this one-of-its-kind maritime conference and declare the second International Maritime Conference, IMC 2024, open. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to request His Excellency Dermos Bestak, Consul General, Turkish Consulate General, to please come on podium and share his remarks.
Dear Vice Chancellor, Sajid Mahmoud Shahzad, I'm spelling correctly, yeah, and respected dear Hussein Muhyiddin Kadri, Deputy Chairman, and distinguished participants, respected academics, and dear students, Selamun Alaikum. First, I would like to extend my gratitude for kind invitation and providing opportunity to meet this respectable community. I am delighted to stand before you and to deliver my remarks regarding the maritime transportation. Dear brothers and sisters, maritime transport is amongst the most important modes of transport and shipping used worldwide. Despite the invention and development of new modes and transport like airway, railway, highway, maritime transport has not lost its importance. According to an estimate, around 90% of shipping in the world is carried through the sea. In time, maritime transport has become more efficient and risk-free with the introduction of modern ships. Trading is one of the most important applications of maritime transport. All the world giants are relying on maritime transport for conducting their trade. The countries who have exclusive ownership of trade routes get the most benefits of the maritime transport. The financial benefit of maritime transport is not limited to trade only. It has a great impact on overall the economy of the country. The maritime sector has the potential to boost economic growth, environmental conservation, and social inclusion, contributing not only to a country's economic development, but also to maintaining social and economic balance. The maritime sector acts as the backbone of globalization by enabling the efficient movement of goods across the borders. Ports play a significant role in this network by increasing the welfare of communities and providing job opportunities. At this point, CPEC and Gwadar Port are crucial to Pakistan's economy, as the country is strategically located at the crossroads of important trade routes connecting Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. It is located at the cross junction of international sea shipping and oil trade routes. Gwadar can act as an international trade hub for Pakistan. One of the biggest benefits of maritime transport is that it helps build good international relations. If a country is linked with busy maritime routes, it becomes the center of the attention in the region. All countries have many economic and strategic interests associated with maritime transport. Due to such reasons, maritime transport can play a pivotal role in establishing ties with different countries. While facing various challenges, maritime routes, by enabling the transportation of large quantities of goods at a low cost, plays a vital role in the growth of international trade and global connectivity. For instance, in March 2021, the accident caused by the container ship belonging to Evergreen Company on the Suez Channel, the channel traffic stopped. It has been observed that this disruption in the supply chain cost millions of dollars and immediately increased the oil prices and freight rates. The number of vessels passing through the Suez Channel has fallen by 85% in the last 6 months due to ongoing political tensions, while the number of vessels passing through the Cape of Good Hope has more than doubled because of Gaza massacre. In case of Turkey, freight transport on sea roads, which are the veins of economy, has special importance for Turkey with its more than 8,300 kilometer coastline and more than 200 ports. With its strategic location in Mediterranean, Aegean, and Black Sea region, Turkey serves as a commercial bridge between Asia, Africa, and Europe. In its region, Turkey has been playing active role and participating in establishment and management of transportation and commercial network between Asia and Europe. Turkey has been taking part in initiatives to create new corridors and maritime roads. The economic significance of the maritime sector extends far beyond mere transportation. It is a cornerstone of global trade, a source of livelihood for millions, a driver for technological progress, and key player in national and international economies. Recognizing and understanding the significance of crucial for policymakers and stakeholders in ensuring the sustainable development and prosperity of maritime-dependent regions and industries. In embracing the transformative potential of the maritime sector, governments, international organizations, and stakeholders must continue to collaborate, innovate, and invest in initiatives that prioritize inclusive growth, environmental stewardship, and socio-economic progress. It is a reality that the maritime transportation will continue to be essential for international trade and global connectivity in the future. Turkey and Pakistan have a great potentials, geographical advantages to be turned in opportunities for bilateral collaboration and partnership in this field. Efforts to strengthen bilateral cooperation between our countries is essential not only for welfare of our nations, but also for peace, prosperity, and stability in the region. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for comprehensively covering the theme of this year's conference. Moving on, I would like to request His Excellency Ali Asghar Moghari, Acting Consul General, Iranian Consulate General, Lahore, Pakistan, to please share his thought about today's event.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I extend my greetings to all of you and Mr. Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, our dear brother, Consul General of Turkey, and all dear guests, academicians in here, in this august gathering. First of all, I would like to express my thanks to the Pakistani society. As you know, about 2 weeks ago, we lost our president and foreign minister in a helicopter crash. But during this time, our consulates and our missions in Pakistan were visited by huge numbers of people from the Pakistani society, from your government side, from your different political parties and different groups, NGOs, and they expressed their solidarity and sympathy with us, and I'm very thankful to all of you. I'm very happy to be here and to speak in front of you. Regarding this topic, as you know, the sea has always been, from time immemorial, a big source for the livelihood of the people. And also the sea routes, they have served as paths to facilitate trade and people-to-people relations. So the importance of the sea routes, maritime cooperation has increased even more today. And we should benefit from the sea resources, from the sea routes, maritime corridors, in such a way that it is both sustainable and at the same time it meets the needs of our economy. So I have to add that the ports in different countries, they should become hubs for trade and commerce, centers for expansion of people-to-people relations and trade and commercial relations between countries. You know, Iran has 5,800 kilometer coastal line with 890 kilometer in the north at the Caspian Sea and 4,900 kilometer in the south, Persian Gulf, Sea of Oman. And as you know, Bandar Abbas is the most important Iranian port, which is the hub of transit for the Iranian commodities and vice versa. And as you know, the port of Chabahar is also a port in the process of being flourishing and in the making. And as far as I know, Pakistan has also more than 1,000 coastal line, and Karachi port is the most important commercial hub port for Pakistan, with the Gwadar port as being a port like Chabahar port of Iran in the making, the process of being developed. The Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean, they are water bodies which Iran and Pakistan, they share, and they can have huge cooperation in this respect. I would like to pinpoint some important matters that should be taken into consideration in our policies at the government level, and it should also be taken into serious consideration by the academicians which serve as bodies which provide input and thought to the decision makers and policy makers at the higher levels, at the government level. So the development and equipment of the ports, this is a very important matter, something that the government of Iran has been determined to do with respect to the port of Chabahar. And I know that the same resolve is present in the government of Pakistan to develop the port of Gwadar and to make it as a hub to serve the economic needs of Pakistan, and also as a transit port to facilitate trade between Pakistan and also other countries. Apart from equipping and developing ports, what is also very important is the development of the hinterland. I mean, the area which is around the port. Construction of the necessary infrastructure like roads, like railways, like airports is very important. If you have a fully equipped port, but you do not have the infrastructure which connects you to the port, which fails you in terms of connectivity, it is useless. So at the same time, construction of infrastructure near the port, around the port, connecting the port to other important places is very important. And another important matter which is significant is consideration of the coastal people at the coastal areas, I mean coastal communities. I can say that in respect to Chabahar, the Sistan and Baluchistan province of Iran is not as privileged as other provinces of Iran, and I know that the same thing is true about Baluchistan. So we should take and adapt and adjust our policies in such a way that not only these ports, but also the coastal communities are flourishing together. So there is a case of shared prosperity, not only for the port, but also for the coastal communities which are living around the ports and in the ports. So paying attention to the green shipping, paying attention to the environmental matters, especially taking into consideration the climate change, water salination, and the dangers posed and constituted to maritime life is very important. We should develop our strategies in such a way that the planet and the maritime life is sustained. And this capital and this heritage which we have inherited from past generations is well transferred to the future generations. And also I have to say that the sea routes, in the same way that they are ways to and paths to facilitate legal trade, commercial relations, they have also been used by mafia groups and illegal people, miscreants, in order to smuggle narcotics, in order to smuggle weapons, human beings, and pirates. They are also posing a great threat. So the two countries of Iran, Pakistan, also regional countries in general, they should establish and enhance their security and intelligence and military cooperation to address these important menace and threats. Also holding and having joint military exercises with the regional countries and trying to keep out external regional players outside the region in order to sustain the security of the maritime routes, maritime geographies are very important, and they also need to be taken into consideration. Thank you very much for your attention. I wish for your success, and I hope that this center will play a very constructive role with regard to the policy making of Pakistan in terms of maritime strategies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the significance of maritime sector and also for encouraging our center. Yes, we are doing our efforts for this ignored sector in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, our first keynote speaker bears vast experience of command and staff appointments during his naval career. His important appointments include Project Manager, Jinnah Naval Base, and Director Foreign Military Collaboration at Naval Headquarters. With his wealth of knowledge and expertise, he will enlighten and inspire us with his keynote speech. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed keynote speaker, Rear Admiral Azhar Mahmood, Sitara Imtiaz Military, Commandant Pakistan Navy War College, Lahore, to the podium.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Professor Dr. Hussain Mohyuddin Kadri, Deputy Chairman, Board of Governors, Minhaj University. Respected Vice Chancellor Dr. S.M. Shehzad, CRIMA team, distinguished faculty, eminent audience, and learned students. Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. This very good morning was not part of my written speech, but after seeing my German friend over here and who was my student as well. It's my profound privilege to have been invited to address this august gathering. It is also indeed encouraging to see academia, professionals, and industrial community come together to discuss maritime issues. Ladies and gentlemen, I will briefly talk about the trade corridors, which, though lifeblood of modern global supply chains and holds promise for economic growth, are also pervaded with challenges. During the span of last 30 years, beginning with the end of the Cold War, the global economy experienced a significant phase of trade integration. To maximize economic efficiency, nations implemented various strategies to establish worldwide supply chains. The recent idea of turning borders into points of connectivity between countries, regions, and continents has gained recognition. Several initiatives aimed at establishing economic corridors across regions and continents have appeared. China's Belt and Road Initiative, with China-Pakistan Economic Corridor as its flagship project, is one of the most notable examples. Other examples include the International North-South Trade Corridor, the US-led Build Back Better World Initiative, the India-Middle East-Europe Corridor, Iraq Development Road Corridor, and the Central Asia Regional Economic Cooperation. As we know, trade corridors are geographic areas with undefined boundaries containing natural resources, economic and social infrastructure, and settled populations. They have existed for millennia and were previously referred to as the trade winds. In the 21st century, these corridors have now undergone a significant transformation. At end of 2023, 150 nations have already joined the BRI alone. Obviously, one might wonder why states are so eager to become members of economic corridors. Geopolitical consideration aside, there are strong indicators that the rapid economic growth, especially in the region of Asia, seen over the past several decades and broad desire to sustain development level through trade and investment is linked to this increasingly popular trend. As of now, however, the global economy is experiencing significant structural transformation. This is primarily due to the heightened competition, discord between the major powers, and regional tensions from Europe to Middle East and Western Pacific. The division between what is called Global North and Global South is also becoming clear by the day. A convergence of state interest and connectivity in the form of trade corridors results from such new geo-economic realities peppered by the national security considerations. But establishing a trade corridor is one thing, and sustaining it in a world prone to interstate and intra-regional conflicts, great power competition, and emergence of new actors with mankind's closer dependence on modern technologies quite another. We have seen that the bloody war waged by Israel led to the Red Sea crisis and ultimately hampered trade between East and the West. The Houthi strikes on critical shipping routes caused disruption in major supply chains, resulting in rerouting of vessels, increased sailing time, and expenses. Another facet of large-scale interruption brought about by the conflict in the Red Sea has been the possibility of deliberate damage or cutting of undersea cables called the submarine cable. The submarine cables provide over 90% of worldwide communications, including internet, telecom, and smartphone services. Moreover, due return of geopolitics in foreign policy, a trend is emerging, where waterways are being used as a medium of power projection. Indeed, both state and interstate, as well as the non-state actors, are asserting control and coercion at sea to disrupt global connectivity. South China Sea, Strait of Hormuz, and Red Sea areas are few examples where maritime domain is being used to disrupt connectivity to promote political and economic agendas. The manner in which risks and threats are emerging at sea is likely to endure in the middle to long term. I repeat, the manner in which risks and threats are emerging at sea is likely to endure in the middle to long term. The maritime domain is likely to continue to play a significant role in international relations where geopolitics and geoeconomics are applied in certain foreign policy matters. Because the high seas as opposed to the land, I repeat, because the high seas as opposed to the land are neutral spaces, thus it is possible to generate strong political and economic message to the world community through the violent tools without overstepping on any state's sovereignty and territorial integrity. It is a relatively low risk, high gain effort. This trend has several implications for countries like Pakistan, as Pakistan requires both flexible and elaborate responses to counter maritime threats, which are less predictable and more complex to defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, we can leave counter maritime threat part over here and can discuss it on some other day due paucity of time. All in all, ensuring stability and preserving trade corridors and routes is challenging. Effective implementation necessitates comprehensive policy coordination and cooperation at domestic, political, and geopolitical level. In addition, it involves addressing a range of obstacles and impediments, including deficiencies in infrastructure, limitations in institutions, potential security hazards, and issues that span borders. It is also important to highlight that the national security policy of Pakistan reinforced this comprehensive perspective by focusing on a citizen-centric approach. Accordingly, the national security policy has developed a comprehensive vision of regional connectivity beyond simple economic cooperation. The policy aims to establish trade linkages and achieve regional integration by developing trade routes. Therefore, Pakistan should use economic corridors to strengthen its economy by utilizing country's strategic location at the crossroads of West, Central, and South Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, before I end, I wish to express my profound gratitude to the Vice Chancellor, Minhaj University, Lahore, and his team for such noteworthy, valuable, and meaningful initiative to enlighten the audience. I must admit without any hesitation that Minhaj and CRIMA have together given a significant boost to the re-gender wide-ranging academic awareness on subjects related to maritime and oceans. In this respect, Commodore retired Dr. S.M. Shehzad and his team stand out for their efforts in keeping the maritime matters alive and vibrant in the heartland of Punjab. This also was the principal reason behind moving Pakistan Navy War College to Lahore from Karachi in 1995. I thank you all.
Thank you, sir. We are honored to have you share your insight with us today. Our next keynote speaker is Deputy Chairman of Minhaj University, Lahore. He is a prolific author with over 60 books on his credit, a brilliant researcher, and a critically acclaimed international speaker. With a doctorate in economics from Victoria University, Australia, he has been affiliated with the University of Melbourne, Australia as senior fellow for many years. In recognition of his scholarly contributions in the field of Islamic economics and finance, he was awarded Global Islamic Finance Award in 2019. His major interest areas are modern economics, strategic economics, international trade, environmental economics, interreligious studies, peace and counterterrorism studies, Islamic thought and Islamic economics, to mention few. I am honored to call Professor Dr. Hussain Moizuddin Kadri on the podium to deliver the keynote speech. Sir.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Worthy Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sajid Mahmood Shehzad, Secretary General Minhajul Quran International, Khurram Nawaz Gandapur, Honorable guests, dignitaries, flag officers of Pakistan Navy, especially Rear Admiral Azhar Mahmood, Vice Admiral Ahmad Saeed, Honorable Consul Generals, Consul General of Turkey, Consul General of Iran, academics, professors, staff members of CRIMA, and honorable participants of this beautiful conference. First of all, I would like to congratulate the team members of CRIMA under the supervision of worthy Vice Chancellor for organizing such a beautiful and I would say successful conference on a very hot and important topic, not just for Pakistan, but for the whole world. And I believe this center has a lot to play as a role in near future for the country in terms of developing and forming policy-related work for the country and the government. So their intellectual efforts in the form of journals and other literature produced by this center would certainly benefit Pakistan and other countries associated and related to the country. Dear audience, I would like to begin my presentation with the verse of Holy Quran in which Allah Almighty states, and He is the one who has subjected the seas as well, so that you may eat fresh seafood from there and may take out from them gems that you wear as ornaments. And O man, you see the vessels and ships that pierce through the water, and all this has managed so that you may look for His bounty, and also that you may become thankful. I believe for a Muslim or a believer, this verse lay the foundation for the development related to the economy, which is called the blue economy. Some might ask, what is blue economy? The blue economy refers to to the sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth, improved livelihood, and jobs while preserving the health of ocean ecosystem. It includes various activities such as fishing, shipping, tourism, and energy which is generated from the sea. The idea is to balance economic development from ocean-based industries with a need to protect and maintain the marine environment. The maritime space is one of the preeminent avenues for economic growth on the planet. The gross value of goods produced in coastal and marine areas in the world are valued in billions of dollars. Fisheries produce around 30% of global animal protein intake. Livelihood of millions of small-scale fisher people are created, and countless number of people are employed in associated industries. According to United Nations Environment Program report in 2014, which highlights that 10% increase in global fishery production would result in the increase of around $50 billion annually worldwide in worldwide fishery export. Dear audience, this was a little summary of the worth and the capacity of this sector we all are looking into today. Let's go into the history. So we will see throughout the history, Muslims have played a significant role in boosting the blue economy through their advancements in seafaring, trade, and maritime technologies. Believing in the word of Allah Almighty, from the 8th to 15th century, Muslim seafarers dominated the seas, exploring and mapping vast stretches of the ocean. For example, Ahmad ibn Majid, who was active in the 15th century, was renowned for his expertise in navigation, and his navigational text was popular, named Kitabul Fawaid fi Usulul Ilm al-Bahr wal-Qawaid, became a cornerstone for sailors in Indian Ocean. In terms of shipbuilding, the introduction of Latin sail and its subsequent development by Muslim shipbuilders enhanced the agility and speed of ships, which was crucial for guiding in the monsoon winds of Indian Ocean. In fact, Muslim seafarers, traders, scholars from 8th to 15th century set the stage for the connected global economy, contributing significantly to maritime legacy and shaped modern navigation and global trade network. Measurements and navigation at sea was further refined by figures like Al-Khwarizmi and Al-Biruni. Notable explorers and cartographers such as Al-Idris, they were instrumental in producing detailed map that improved the accuracy of sea and land routes. His detailed map, which was called Tabula Georgiana, was an incredible detailed world map that was used extensively by travelers and scholars worldwide. If we talk about Abbasids time period, so under the Abbasids, the Islamic world became an important center for trade, connecting the east and western cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Cordoba, became the hub for commerce and culture. The development of business class, including merchants like Ibn Habakal, who was a 10th century traveler, writer. He documented various trade routes in his work called Suratul Ard, the face of earth, the work called, which described the economic conditions of Islamic world and beyond. After that, the Ottomans were known for their strong
naval power, which was crucial in controlling the Mediterranean and Black Seas. They dominated the Mediterranean during the 16th century by securing Ottoman routes for trade and military movements. The empire's strategic position connected Europe with Asia and Africa, allowing it to control and flourish in the spice trade and other valuable commodities. Dear audience, in 15th century, Ahmad ibn Majid, who was also known as the Lion of the Sea, was an Arabian navigator and poet whose work helped to improve the European navigational techniques. Why we all are looking into this history? So that we could know that wherever we stand today, that wasn't the space and that wasn't the place for the Muslim world. We were something else. But unfortunately, today, our powers related to ocean, navigational powers, technology, shipbuilding powers, and everything else, that is on a different level. Again, this is something we can achieve if we could all come together to develop our technologies, work scientifically hard on unity as well as on our sciences and technologies. So this all can come back. So the person, Ahmad ibn Majid's works basically helps the European navigational techniques. His knowledge was possibly utilized by Vasco da Gama as well, who managed to reach India by circling around the Cape of Good Hope. Another figure, Ali Rais, was an Ottoman admiral and navigator whose writings, including the Mir'atul Memalik, provided a valuable information about Indian Ocean to all these navigators of oceans. Historically, Muslim civilizations dominated maritime trade and technology for several years. However, centuries I would say. However, with the emergence of European power during the age of exploration, the balance shifted towards Western countries. The European advancement in navigation, shipbuilding, and trade networks allowed them to establish colonial empires and dominate global maritime trade as well. As the European nations started experimenting with adapting new technologies like caravel, which allowed for a longer transoceanic voyage, Muslim shipbuildings and navigation techniques began to stagnate. The decline in innovation can be partially attributed to the relative isolation of some Muslim countries and regions from the technological developments occurring in Europe. By the 17th century, European naval forces made Muslim countries and their powers deteriorate. From technological advancements and territorial control of key maritime routes, the Battle of Lepanto in 1571, where a coalition of Western countries decisively defeated the Ottoman Navy, marked a turning point in Mediterranean naval dominance. Moreover, the inability to control piracy and maintain secure trades routes further diminished these Muslim countries' maritime supremacy. What lessons we can learn from this history? The decline in Muslim maritime affairs. The history teaches us a critical lesson about the importance of technological adaptation and political unity in maintaining economic and military power. In contemporary times, there is a renewed interest in revitalizing maritime heritage in a Muslim world. For instance, initiatives like modern reconstruction of traditional dhows in countries like UAE symbolizes a desire to reconnect with the innovative upon their rich maritime history. Additionally, current investments in maritime infrastructure in the Middle East and Southeast Asia indicates a potential for resurgence in maritime activity influenced by historical precedents. Let's talk about Pakistan. Pakistan's geographical location along the Arabian Sea marks its major seaport crucial for trade. The most significant is Karachi Port, which is the oldest and busiest port, handling about 60% of national cargo. The economic impact of Port of Karachi is substantial, contributing significantly to Pakistan's GDP. The port and its related activities are estimated to provide employment to over 500,000 people, both directly and indirectly. This includes jobs in logistics, warehousing, and transport, and other services that support port and maritime operations. As a strategic asset for Pakistan, the port of Karachi not only facilitates the bulk of Pakistan's maritime trade, but also serves as a critical endpoint for Belt and Road Initiative, enhancing its regional and international trade connectivity. If we talk about Gwadar Port, the Gwadar Port is positioned on the southwestern coast of Pakistan in the Balochistan province, represents a significant strategic and economic asset for the country. It forms a crucial component of a China-Pakistan economic corridor, which aims to facilitate trade along an overland route that connects Gwadar to China, bypassing longer maritime routes. The operational aspect of Gwadar Port is expected to generate substantial employment opportunity for the country, which is estimated to around 40,000 jobs, thus significantly contributing to the local and national economy. Gwadar also holds immense potential as a tourism and investment hub. Similarly to the growth seen in Dubai, with its strategic coastal location and picturesque scenery, there is a considerable scope for developing leisure resorts, marina, and leisure facility that can transform the port into a premier tourist destination as well. The development, strategic development includes enhancing infrastructure such as hotels, beach sites, attractions, and recreational areas for the country, which not only boost tourism, but also creates numerous job opportunities in hospitality and service sector. Gwadar Port and the China-Pakistan economic corridors are a key to Balochistan's economic transformation as well, making the region a critical hub for maritime and overland routes in Asia. This was something we talked about, which is related to our history, which is related to the potential which Pakistan and its ports carry. Let's talk about some of the challenges we all are facing today. The major challenges include insufficient cargo handling. Pakistan's ports, particularly Karachi Port and Port Qasim, faces with slow and inefficient cargo handling. This is largely due to outdated equipment and manual processes, such as insufficiencies, which can cause significant and which do cause significant delays in loading and unloading goods, leading to increased cost and reduced competitiveness in international trade. Limited container capacity. Compared to regional giants like Singapore and Shanghai, Pakistan's port has much lower container handling capacity. This limitation restricts the volume of goods that can be processed, impacting Pakistan's ability to engage in higher volume international trade. Lack of facilities for fishing. The port provides insufficient support facility for fishing industry, such as cold storage, ice plants, and processing units. This lack of infrastructure leads to a decrease in the quality and quantity of fish that can be exported by Pakistan. Poor maintenance is another issue. The fishing harbor, like those in Karachi, often suffer from neglect, with which such a pollution selection and indicates waste disposal facilities affecting the overall efficiency and hygiene of fishing operations in the country. Inadequate dredging. Many of Pakistan's ports require dredging to maintain their depth for accommodating large vessels. However, inconsistent and inadequate dredging leads to navigational challenges. Aging infrastructure at the ports. Much of the infrastructure at these ports, including jetties, warehouses, are aging and not well maintained, leading to safety concerns and operational insufficiencies. Lack of automation. Unlike modern ports, which employ automated systems for logistics and cargo handling, Pakistani ports still rely heavily on manual processes. This not only slows down the operations, but also increases the potential for human error as well. Inadequate IT systems. The technological framework for tracking, handling, and clearing cargo is outdated in Pakistan. There is a crucial need for investment in IT infrastructure to streamline operations and improve security and tracking of shipments. Another issue, which is underdeveloped tourist facilities. Ports like Gwadar, despite having a significant potential for tourism due to their scenic coastal links and lines, lack the necessary tourist facilities. This includes absence of entertainment, leisure activities, quantity of accommodation, and tourist-friendly services, which other countries who have a beautiful coastal lines, they invest in these kind of facilities, which brings them a lot of revenue related to tourism. But we have been neglecting this sector for a very long time. Security concern is another major issue. Security issues at and around the ports can deter international tourists, impacting the growth of tourism sector linked to maritime activities. So we have talked about 4 million TEUs. Similarly, Singapore's implemented extensive automation and state-of-the-art technological solution such as automated quay, cranes, and driverless trucks to increase efficiency and reduce handling time. If we talk about Netherlands, so environmental initiatives, a great green initiatives have been taken by the Netherlands and their ports. They invested in sustainable technologies and practices, becoming a leader in green port operations. They also developed a port exchange, a platform to improve logistical efficiency through digitalizing and data sharing among port users. And not just that, if we talk about our neighbor country, India, so they wanted to develop, modernize, and digitize their ports. So what they did, they came up with PPP, which is public-private partnership. For example, the port of Jawaharlal Nehru and Mundra, they have extensively utilized public and private partnership model to attract investment for infrastructure and technological upgrades. This is something a country faces. No investment, no development. So they came up with a solution with public and private investment to develop these ports, which is bringing a lot of revenue to these ports for the country. Dredging, they also worked hard and invested on dredging and infrastructural expansion. Now both ports have undertaken significant dredging projects to accommodate larger ships. Another sector which was technology integration, the Indian ports, they invested, implemented advanced terminal operation system and RFID for tracking, managing containers flows. Now I would like to briefly give some suggestions and recommendations as a policy so that those could be looked into by the relevant corridors in the country. Pakistan should focus on long-term projects like comprehensive port modernization projects with following objectives: increase container and cargo handling capacity, improve efficiency and reduce cargo dwell time, enhance infrastructure and adopt modern technologies, develop sustainable and secure port environment, boost tourism and community engagement, automate cargo handling, implement automated quay, cranes and driverless trucks, similar to Port of Singapore, to reduce handling time and improve operational efficiency. Expand and modernize infrastructure. Regular dredging programs should be run at all the important ports of the country. Public-private partnership is something we all need in the country for every sector. But today, this is something recommended for the maritime industry. Encourage public and private partnership to attract private investment, expertise, and operational efficiency, similar to the models used in India. Government funding, international investment, and loans. Allocate a higher percentage of budget to maritime infrastructure. International investment, seek maximum grants, and country can seek maximum grant on this subject if they could initiate the development or infrastructural development project at the ports. So the world and countries would be interested. This is something which can interest and seek attention of the world, because this is something potential they could all look at, that whatever we are investing, we can always earn back. So this is something, if we could seek grants from international community on the development of this infrastructure, I believe Pakistan can get good grants. Streamline operations, establish a centralized port authority. This is a suggestion. So they centralized port authority to reduce bureaucratic inefficiency and improve decision-making process in the country. Implement a strict, independent anti-corruption measures to ensure transparency and accountability in port operations and development of projects. This is a known fact and not a hidden secret that how much corruption goes on at ports and what happens and how and who makes money there. So this is an open secret. It is important to support this structure and infrastructure and attract the relevant investment at the ports. So we have to be strict about anti-corruption policies related to the trade as well as the ports. Sustainable practice as necessary to be introduced in Pakistan. Invest in green technologies and process to make ports environment friendly. Implement waste management and pollution control measures at the ports. Work with international maritime organizations to improve security standards and cooperation. Like Gwadar has a potential to become a tourist hub. So develop resorts, marinas, recreational facilities to attract tourists and boost local economy, which is very important. Central cultural attractions and museums dedicated to maritime history and local seafaring and tradition is important. Emulate Dubai integration of luxury resorts, Singapore's Marina Bay Sands model to blend port activities with high-value tourism. Develop world-class facilities, including upscale accommodation, leisure activities, and secure marinas to attract international tourists. Launch targeted marketing strategies that spotlight Gwadar's unique culture and scenic attraction, positioning it as must-visit destination, which is important for the country today. Ensure sustainable development by involving local communities in the planning process. This is something really important which we all need to look into. Local communities must be included in the planning process of Gwadar as well as other regions where the ports are located. And modernizing and expansion of port would require a large workforce, potentially creating 25,000 to 50,000 new direct jobs in maritime industry of Pakistan. Improved port efficiency and increased trade can stimulate job creation in ancillary sectors such as logistics, constructions, and trade service. This could lead to an additional 100,000 to 500,000 jobs nationally over the next decades if timely decisions are made by the power corridors. At the end, I would like to say Pakistan's ports, pivotal for trade given their strategic positions along the Arabian Sea, face a multitude of challenges that hamper their efficiency and capacity. Drawing inspiration from the port's modernization strategies employed by the global leaders like Singapore, Sri Lanka, Netherlands, and other parts of the world, Pakistan should have a clear blueprint for transformation its maritime affairs. And to have that clear blueprint and policy development, this center at Minhaj University, Lahore, it is there for the country, for the government, for the policy making. We will extend our hands and assistance at any level where and when country, Pakistan, needs us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing the historical perspective and contribution of Muslim scholars in maritime sector, and also for sharing practical suggestions. It's always a pleasure to listen to you, to your insightful and informative talk. Before inviting our panelists onto the stage, I would like to request our honorable keynote speakers to please take their seats, so that we can move on to our next session, that is the panel discussion. Thank you so much for joining us and for very comprehensively covering the key theme of today's conference, Sea of Opportunity, Enhancing Maritime Transportation and Global Connectivity. Okay. All right. Okay. So we are going to present souvenirs to our guests from Consulate General, Turkey and of Iranian Republic of Israel. Now, I would like to request His Excellency Tomas Bistog, Consul General, Turkish Consulate General, please receive the souvenir as a gesture of gratitude for joining us today. His Excellency Tomas Bistog. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. We are very honored that you have taken time from your busy schedule and you are here with us. Now, His Excellency Ali Asghar Moghari, Acting Consul General, Iranian Consulate General in Lahore, Pakistan. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for taking out time for us. We are honored by your presence. Rear Admiral Azhar Mehmood Sitara Imtiaz is requested to kindly come forward and accept the token of appreciation. Thank you so much, Rear Admiral. We are very pleased that you have joined us today for today's conference as a keynote speaker. He is commanded Pakistan Navy War College, Lahore. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Dr. Hussain Mohiuddin Kadri. Thank you for coming. So we stand corrected? Sorry. I guess that information was communicated.
चेक करो.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself for an expedition into enlightening discussion and thoughtful discourse on the theme of green shipping. The panel moderator for this panel is a retired Commodore of Pakistan Navy. Currently, he is serving as Director, Indian Ocean Center at National Institute of Maritime Affairs, Islamabad. During his distinguished career in Navy, he has served on various command and staff appointments, and his areas of interest include Indian Ocean region, maritime diplomacy, and maritime security. Commodore Babar Bilal Haider, Sitara Imtiaz Military, sir, please join us on stage as a panel moderator. Our first panelist of this panel is a Navy veteran currently serving as Executive Project Director, Gawada Shipyard. With an illustrious career in Navy, he has served on notable strategic positions. Please join me in welcoming Rear Admiral Muazzam Ilyas, Hilal Imtiaz Military, on the stage as our panelist. He will be sharing the perspective from his expertise as a former naval officer. Our second panelist is a well-known barrister who studied law from Oxford University, London School of Economics, and Lincoln's Inn, England. She is frequently invited to share her expertise at various forums. It's my pleasure to invite Barrister Nusrat Bayan Majid to stage as our second panelist. She will be sharing her insights from the legal perspective regarding green shipping practices. Our third panelist is Senior Vice President, Lahore Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Lahore. He is the pioneer in establishment of bilateral business relations with African countries and is working continuously to strengthen relations with our international partners. He will represent the business community and share their role in promoting green practices related to shipping industry. Please welcome Mr. Zafar Mahmood on stage. Our fourth and the last panelist of the first panel discussion is a professor in the Department of Political Science at the University of Punjab, a Handy Stimson South Asian Fellow and an author. He frequently contributes to influential policy outlets and academic journals in the areas of maritime security and politics. And he will be talking about the role and efforts of academia and academicians in promoting green maritime practices. Please welcome Dr. Share Qazi on stage. Thank you, dear panelists, for joining us. The floor is yours. Commodore Babar Bilal Haider.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you very much for inviting me as a moderator for this session. as you all know that I belongs to National Institute of Maritime Affairs, so let me little bit introduce you what is National Maritime Affairs and what we do over there. National Institute of Maritime Affairs is basically institute working in Bahia University. Basically it is a semi-autonomous system which was instituted by Government of Pakistan through HEC to undertake the maritime research back in 2006. Now, Alhamdulillah, the institute has matured enough, which is now contributing to the Government of Pakistan in the policy level input in maritime affairs. So, on behalf of National Maritime Affairs also, I extend my warm welcome to you all here. And I must also congratulate Minhaj University and the CRIMA team for holding this wonderful and classic international conference on maritime affairs, which is very close to personally my heart. Now, coming back to the topic, we have the sea of opportunity enhancing maritime transportation and global connectivity. You may all be knowing that Pakistan is virtually a maritime island nation. We are dependent, about 95% of our cargo is handled through maritime trade. Similarly, we are spending about 8 to 9 billion US dollars on foreign shipping to bring trade and send the trade out of Pakistan. We usually handle about 3,100 ships to 3,150 ships annually in our two ports, Karachi and Port Qasim. That is the magnitude which the Pakistani destined shipping is coming to and coming going. Likewise, about 400 ships pass daily crisscross North Arabian Sea close to our coast, especially the shipping which is coming and going towards Strait of Hormuz, which is the key lifeline of the global economy. And mostly that trade is based, oil-based, which about 21 million barrels pass daily from the Strait of Hormuz, and it goes to Malacca, it goes to Red Sea. Indian economy is also dependent on this. So look at the volume of the shipping which is passing through our way. And this is the trade connectivity. The Far Eastern economies are dependent on the Western, the advanced world for their consumers, sending their consumer goods. Likewise, the Far Eastern economies are also dependent on the African continent and other for the raw material. So shipping is the lifeline. There are about 106,000 total ships around the world at present, which ply on the oceans. Out of which, if we, statistically speaking, 120,000 ships pass annually Indian Ocean region alone. So this is the magnitude which we are talking of, the global connectivity or the shipping, which will have some impact on the ocean life. And mind it, the ocean is about 72% of the global surface, and remaining 28% is the dry land. And we are all hosted, the 8.2 billion population, which was earlier mentioned today, is dependent, living on that dry piece. But the future source is from the sea. And if we do not manage the sea today, our future generations will not be able to extract the food as we want to. Because the land you cannot increase, the harvest cannot increase, rather population increases, depletes the agriculture output of the land also. So per force we are moving towards sea to extract food. But unfortunately, playing this global connectivity, shipping traffic, environmental challenges, global warming, all is affecting the marine life, which is actually this future seafood which we want to extract. The other issue is oil tankers and 5 are the dry cargo of the old vintage. They are, at present, the Pakistan National Shipping Corporation is trying to convert those ships to address the green shipping challenges. We have a panel of analysts who will be talking on the requirement of green shipping. From the law perspective, we have a barrister. We have academia who will also discuss something about what is green shipping, what is this phrase, what is the impact of this from the academic point of view, and what can be done from the literature which is available. He will be giving us setting the stage. Then we have a businessman. He represents the business community. As the Dr. Kadri earlier mentioned that we should have a PPP model, the public-private partnership. So we will be requesting him to highlight that subject also, how the public-private partnership can come into this. And Admiral Mausam, my senior, rather my mentor, when I joined Navy, he was there, already there, rather I joined his room as a cadet. So, but now he is heading a shipyard at Gwadars project, last 4 or 5 years. And we will understand why a shipyard is required, what shipyard can do for conversion of the present ships into the green shipping, or what technologies are required to modernize Pakistani shipyards, what are the hindrances. So he will be talking on that. And likewise, we will be also requesting him to discuss something about what type of conversion or the ship technology is being changed to address the green shipping technology. So first of all, I request my honorable professor to discuss and lay the foundation of today's talk. That is, what is green shipping and how this terminology came into existence, what is the background, and where we are now at present. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Commodore. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a very difficult job to open up a conversation on something the world itself does not really understand as of yet. So when the idea of the term green shipping was introduced and the idea of this term of green corridors was introduced, we are faced with this question that became very haunting to international trade, but it became very crucial for international sustainability of the planet we live on. So 2023, 2022-23 is when the world adds 70 million deadweight tonnage of international shipping, which already increases the staggering amount of international deadweight shipping to 2.3 billion tons. Now, even though this comprises of 80% of what global trade is about, and it makes me happy because it runs the economy I survive on, it does contribute 3% of global carbon dioxide emissions and consumes 300 million metric tons of fuel. If I am to sustain the business that I have, do I continue to ravage Mother Earth with the kind of carbon emissions that I have, or do I go green suddenly? And that's where COP26 happens, and we talk about the Clyde-Bank Declaration, and we suddenly see the international community talks about zero emissions in 2021. And the idea is that sustainable fishing systems that exist in the world today need to switch to sustainable fuels, and those sustainable fuels need to be talked about, not just in conversations in academic literature, but they have to be implemented in order to be executed. And I must confess, being very close to home in Pakistan, I don't hear this conversation, because I don't account to global shipping, because I don't account to a seafaring nation. And my problem is that the term that we started using, the word sea blindness, actually becomes a reality when the whole world decides to go green. And that's the reality, ladies and gentlemen, that we must face today. If the international community today decides to go green, and it decides to increase the way it looks at sustainable shipping, my country, unfortunately, is not on the list of people, it's not on the list of states that understand the threats, and they understand the economic incentive, and they understand the reasons to form these coalitions. And that brings me to one major point of concern that I would like my panelists, my fellows, to resonate on and echo my voice. Do we have adequate research on alternate sustainable fuels, not just for commercial shipping, but for the consumption of fuel that we have on a regular basis for our cars? The answer to that question I leave to your imagination. Will Pakistan have a shipping future in the coming decade when the world decides to go green? Is Gwadar part of a green corridor? Are sustainable shipping methods applied in Pakistan? Can we afford the level of automation that the international community now accepts and expects? And will we ever be going green considering that whatever fossil fuels alternate and whenever these shipping lanes open up, we would be the first ones to carry out with the scraps that are left behind, because we would consider them an added value to the infrastructure we have which is lacking, and then see it as a major milestone in development. So I must confess as an academic, and I must apologize, that I do not understand the term green shipping, because I've never been green and I've never shipped. And ladies and gentlemen, I leave this to you because I would love to have a line of inquiry of question and answers, because I'd love to talk about this conversation a little further. But before I do, the entire concept of going green, the entire concept of understanding the sustainability of ocean environments hinges on the idea that a state first understands that it's seafaring in the first place. And a state with an 1100 kilometers of coastline cannot afford to neglect that 1100 kilometers of opportunity, that 1100 kilometers of sustainability, that economic enterprise. The CPEC doesn't end at Gwadar, it begins from Gwadar, which means that the corridors we're talking about today, 10 years from now, would ask the same questions that I'm asking today. That if we were to go green, if I was to subscribe to the Clydebank Conventions of COP26, if I was to increase my deadweight tonnage, if I was to understand how sustainable shipping in the world is being carried out today, I have to stand up and I have to realize that if I do not have the infrastructure right now, I may have the scientific skill set to develop things that the world may need not today, but 10 years from today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Saab. Just a supplementary question before I invite another elite panelist. How do you think that once we are talking of this sea blindness, but if I see the universities and colleges, there are hardly any university or college except barring maybe 2 or 3 which I can count on fingers, they are offering undergrad maritime subjects to the even elective subjects to them. We're fortunate to have with us former Prime Minister Raja Pervez Ashraf, session chief guest for today, and please join hand in welcoming him.
Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Raja Pervez Ashraf, the former Prime Minister and Speaker National Assembly, has joined us as the chief guest of Second International Maritime Conference 2024, themed as Sea of Opportunity, Enhancing Maritime Transportation and Global Connectivity. Thank you so much, Honorable Raja Pervez Ashraf, for joining us.
Sir, just to update you, we were just discussing the Sea of Opportunity, Enhancing Maritime Transportation and Global Connectivity. And our first panelist, Professor Saab, has just setting the stage for green shipping. So I was just asking him the question that how it is important to have maritime subjects in the undergrad programs, because at present only 1 or 2 universities, especially the Barry University or maybe a NUST or NAMAL, they are offering 1 or 2 subjects in undergrad programs. Until unless we indulge and ask the younger kids to come and do these subjects, how can we have the understanding and maritime awareness in subject? Your comments, please.
I think I agree with you as far as this major academic vacuum is concerned, and I'd like to flip it, and I'd like to flip it to a more positive direction. Since we do not have curriculums on sustainable shipping or on the maritime domain as in general, that actually gives us the opportunity to start afresh. So the major controversies of academic conversations and literature are already out the corridor because they've already been had. So we can start afresh, and I think institutions like CRIMA or institutions like the Pakistan Navy War College or institutions like the National Institute of Maritime Affairs can do a better job by connecting to academic institutions, not just through MOUs, but through policy discourses and through visits. The students will never be able to understand the value of an ocean unless they are not acclimatized to it. So theoretically, yes, I do agree there is a need to build curriculum, but practically, yes, there is a need to expedite students and faculty members and researchers to the major value of what we're doing. A lot of my major concerns would be theoretical, because that's the tragedy of being an academic. You succumb to theory because you don't have the practical exposure of everything you write on. But if I was to connect with the Commodore and I was to have a conversation like the ones I'm having right now, my theoretical insights coupled with your practical input, I think that's the way forward in Pakistan.
Very truly stated the fact. Just to apprise the House, the National Institute of Maritime Affairs is in the process of talking to HEC, as we have already developed about 21 subjects, curriculum to be inducted as the elective subjects to be part of the HEC curriculum for the universities. So that is in the very advanced stage, and inshallah those subjects will be available to the universities to be adopted, and they will be offering that subjects. Because Pakistan future lies with the maritime industry. We should understand this. Until and unless, like Dr. Kadri was mentioning, that Pakistani ports are not handling the Singapore port volume is so much, and the Netherlands port. Unfortunately, Pakistani ports handles last year it was only 3.4 million TEUs, out of which 900,000 were empty TEUs which were returned back to the global shipping industry. So we do not have a cargo to export. And secondly, our port, Karachi and Port Qasim, are very hinterland ports. They are not on the global shipping traffic routes. So they cannot be called or transshipment ports. But Gwadar has a true potential. And I admire your statement that once you say the CPEC is not ending, but it is actually the start of the actual sea, because CPEC is destined to connect with the Arabian Peninsula, with the African continent, Far Eastern countries, and Europe and America. But until and unless we focus on CPEC as a transshipment hub, because transit port requires a hinterland connection, you need a railway line, you need infrastructure, the storage capacity. But for transshipment, the port is still ready. We can start with this. But until and unless Admiral Mozum will be talking to you about the shipyard requirements, because until and unless we have a robust ship repairing and maintenance system available in the Gwadar, no shipping line is ready to come and visit your ports. So that will be another question. But before now, I move on to my second panelist, Barrister Nudrat, and she will be talking on the requirements of national and international maritime laws and conventions and their applicability in this domain, especially in green shipping. But before she takes the podium, just want to focus on one thing, that even in Pakistan today, the maritime law is so weak that our national maritime policy, which was last approved, that was in 2002, under the then president and the army regime, General Musharraf. Thereafter, about 6 attempts have been made to have a fresh, latest, modern national maritime policy. And this is 2024. So we are still looking for that new policy, because that 2002 policy, fortunately I was the editor of, one of the editor of that policy also. And the latest edition, I will also contribute a little bit on that from the National Institute of Maritime Affairs. But until unless we have a proper policy, I can give you one more example. We have only one Jackson Thana in Karachi, which undertakes the maritime law convicts or their cases, rest for the whole of the 1,001 kilometer of Pakistan coastline. And again, the awareness, once we see the internet, we see the papers, documents, even or the length of coastline is not correct being referred to. So, Madam, I request you to talk what are the requirements of the national and international green shipping, how much Pakistan has walked into this maritime law to adopt this, what are the impediments in the law, and how we are addressing it. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I'm a litigation lawyer. A litigation lawyer, as opposed to other lawyers, is like the surgeon who gets the case when it has gone bad. And so that's my job, is to look at something when it has already broken down, which is a very useful job, but it cannot be done alone, and for that one needs all the other aspects leading up to why something has broken down. So the question that was posed to me was, how do international maritime regulations and conventions influence national legal frameworks? Before we do the how, we need to know why. We need to know what. Why are we discussing this? We are discussing this, just a reality check. Just this morning, I looked up what are the climatic disasters happening just on the 30th of May. But before I come to the disasters, let me start, as the nutritionists say, always start the first bite with the food that is most useful to you. So if you're having protein or carbs, have a protein first. So I will start with a positive first. As we are sitting here and having this discussion, the world's largest cargo container ship has docked at the Karachi port. It is called MSC Anna. It is 400 meters long and contains and can hold, has a carrying capacity of almost 20,000 containers. It's come from India, it's on its route, and today, as we sit here, they are hosting a ceremony. So it is a huge plus for Pakistan, and we should celebrate that, and we should recognize that. That is a good thing. Then we come on to the bad things. Why are we here? Why are we studying international conventions? Take a look at the world around us. Pacific Ocean. This is just this morning. The El Nino effect is creating havoc. We saw what happened with SQ Singapore Airlines Flight 321. From turbulence, a man died. Same thing happened with Qatar Airways. There are climatic changes. In Africa, it's a combination of droughts, extreme heat, and flooding, mismanagement, and climatic disasters. Look at Pakistan. This unprecedented heat wave. I have sat in Islamabad in June. We do not get heat like this. So why we are here is because what the Quran said to us 1445 years ago. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Zahar al-fasada fil barri wal bahri bi-aydi an-nas. Corruption will be visible on the land and on the seas by what man's hands have wrought. I really appreciated our keynote from Dr. Kadri, because in order to go forward, we need to look back. Nothing is new. This is not rocket science. We saw all the signs. Could we have predicted this? Could we have preempted this? Well, certainly. The Quran is telling us 1445 years ago that we could have. So that's the why. Next is, what are we studying? International conventions and regulations. Here, I will just give you a very basic lawyer 101. There is a difference between maritime laws and there is a difference between maritime regulations. Laws are what we have in our country, like when there are cases between people and they need to be resolved in court or outside court by alternative means of dispute resolution. That is a part of private international law. Then we have these international conventions. In maritime, the most famous ones are, of course, UNCLOS, which is the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. We have what is a subject for us today, MARPOL, which is short for Marine Pollution. It is the Convention on the Prevention of Pollution on the Sea. And then we have SOLAS, which is the Convention on the Safety on Sea of Passengers, safety of life at sea. These are international conventions, which means that immediately it throws us in Pakistan into an international sphere where we cannot just think of our own private issues. We have to engage with the global world at large. And as our keynote speaker, also a Rear Admiral Commandant of Naval War College, said, marine boundaries, there are no boundaries. Water does not stop. They are very fluid. So when we are looking even at marine issues, both private and public, we need to look at it holistically. As our esteemed colleague here said, it has to be worked together. So when we are looking at these conventions and regulations, now regulations are really the teeth of the convention. So we have a law that gives us, by and large, what are the rights and duties of parties, countries that are signatories to that law. That's fine. The regulations are actually telling us what we need to do. If it's vessel safety, what measures do we need to take in order to execute vessel safety? If it's green shipping, do we have the infrastructure? Is it necessary? Do we need to be green shippers when we have only 12 vessels, which Bermuda has also 12 vessels? The country of Bermuda has a population of 63,000. We have a population of 230 million. We are at par with Bermuda. Equally, we have 12 vessels. India has 4,000 vessels. Whose responsibility is it really to affect the marine regulations? Is it ours, or is it the countries that have a significant contribution and impact on pollution, on vehicle safety, on life at sea? So we need to be very careful of that. Yes, why should we sign these international conventions? Why should we adopt these regulations? Because the best reform is two ways. It comes from top down, which is why we sign these conventions and we adopt these marine regulations internationally. Because there are people who have tested them. There are people who have gone beyond us. They have seen the problems, they have addressed the problems, they have come up with solutions. So using their expertise and guidance, it helps us to improve our standards. But that is not enough. It's not enough that if there is a MARPOL 6 and Pakistan hasn't ratified it, the answer is not, oh yes, Pakistan should ratify it. Why? Why don't we first see the other form of law reform, which is ground up? Is it something that will help us in the long term? Yes. But do we have the infrastructure legally in place? Do you know that Pakistan is one of the top 5 countries in terms of laws? There are nowhere in any country as many laws as there are in Pakistan. I don't need to say, are they being implemented? Why are we 124 in the rule of law index? Why are we so low? It's not a criticism. What it is for us to wake up and be realistic. What can we do? We can do a lot. We can take our existing framework of laws and start implementing those. Whatever the content of MARPOL 6 is, we can address that without having to rush to sign MARPOL 6. We can address pollution. We can take those measures because we already have legal frameworks in place. All the over laws in our country are for our benefit. The Pakistan Penal Code supports the prevention of pollution. Our constitution supports that. So we don't need to necessarily rush to sign international conventions. We need to tighten our own laws. We need to do, as we all know, this public-private partnership and this dialogue, this can only work if we, as the business community, the legal community, the naval, defense, maritime community, and academia works together. The one institution that is missing here today, and I would advise you to invite for next time, are law enforcement. Because anything that we're going to do, we need law enforcement. We see that in international cases. I am a certified maritime arbitrator with the Singapore Chamber of Maritime Arbitration. Why do we keep saying, oh, look at Singapore, it's great. Look at Singapore. Singapore has nothing in common with us. So let's not get too excited by the fact that Singapore has done something and we should do what Singapore does. Singapore has 5 million people. They have no resources. Their water comes from Malaysia. But what Singapore's founder, Lee Kuan Yew, did was he realized that the one wealth and asset they have is human capital. So if Lee Kuan Yew saw human capital in 5 million Look at the human capital we have with 230 million. That is our strength. That is our asset. That is what we need to harness. And once we do that, then we will actually start moving forward. So to the short answer, it is good to look at international laws, but it is equally important that we look at our own laws and we tighten that framework. And when we come to the more specific laws, I will talk about the more specific remedies.
Ma'am, I totally agree with you that we should adopt policies before jumping into signing a law. But if I can give you an example, last year Pakistan was supposed to sign a law on HKC, that is the Hong Kong Convention for the ship breaking or ship recycling industry. The HKC gives you a green ship recycling industry, and Pakistan missed the bus by at least 4 months. The HKC convention people were pushing Pakistan to ratify it before a certain date so that Pakistan could have been founder member of that law. Pakistan did sign that document, but 4 months late. Now we are bound to honor that law. Otherwise, if we had signed the law before that particular date, we could ask for some time delays like that, because that was a negotiation time. We could have negotiated with the people that we cannot implement this law by so and so date. Now we cannot have that power to negotiation, but we have to implement. The implementation date for the HKC is now June 25, and our Gadani shipping industry is now facing a problem that they are not ready to adopt that HKC convention by 2025, and we cannot go back to the people that we cannot adopt it. So our industry is on the verge of closure until unless we do some rapid steps. So my question to you is, why we cannot also do the same thing once we are adopting law? There are about just a list is 60 maritime laws exist in Pakistan. The problem is again their implementation and prosecution of that system. If you are a violator of that law, it may be a green shipping law, an environmental law, or the trade law, any law. There are 60 laws exist in Pakistan as well as maritime industry is concerned. But the implementation is a problem, and timely signature, which I just referred to, the HKC example, we just missed last year, and unfortunately, despite our best efforts, and I must appreciate the Admiral Iftikhar Rao, the last SAPM, he persuaded the government, then government, to sign that agreement, but he also got late by 4 months. But now we are in the fix. Like the Marpol 6, there is a cut-off date of 2030. After that, no ships playing on the global trade routes, the global connectivity, will not be allowed without the certification of the green shipping. That is the compulsion. Until unless we may adopt the policies, the ships coming to Pakistan will also not be, if the ships are not green certified, they will not be allowed to visit Pakistan because they are playing on the international routes. The routes does not allow you to use that. I just ask you that how it is important to have the simultaneous things, the signing of law as well as implementation of the law. Your comments.
Thank you. First, the positive. In criminal law in Pakistan, you can keep bringing new evidence till the investigation continues. We call that in Urdu, tatimma chalan, meaning that even after you think that I have reached a cutoff, you can still make an effort to change. Countries do that. Which country does that? Singapore does that. Norway does that. Why and how? They do that because they document. We are in a very particular situation in Pakistan. We have challenges that a lot of other countries simply don't have. Nothing is stopping us from documenting, from collecting all the information and negotiating. That's the beauty of international conventions, is that we negotiate. Yes, signing this Hong Kong Convention has been expensive, as we saw in Bangladesh. Bangladesh rushed to sign. What you were saying, we should have signed before. I wonder, should we have signed before? I don't think so, because we were not in a position to comply with the convention. That's why it's so important that when we do sign, If we're late, it's all right, as long as it's considered and we have checked everything. Now we have signed a convention that practically we cannot actually adhere to because we don't have the technology, because we don't have the budget, because we will not be allocated the budget. Bangladesh is suffering. Now that they have signed the Hong Kong Convention, they violated the procedures in the Hong Kong Convention, and they've had international media on them, and they have had to face pressure on it. So we need to be very careful. But now that we have signed, which we did in December, and as you rightly said, Commodore Sahab, it's going to be effective in June 2025. We have 1 year. 1 year is a long enough time. Can I just share with you another anecdote? 1948, when India turned the tap off from Pakistan, and that was the point which began the negotiation for the Indus Water Treaty. Pakistan was newly born. This was, I think, in fact, it was 1947, October. There was a meeting held by both the Indian government and the Pakistan government in Delhi to talk about the partition of the rivers in the Punjab, how the headworks of some of our rivers were in Indian soil, whereas we were utilizing those rivers in Pakistan. In Delhi, at that meeting in 1947, from the Indian side, there were 35 people. It was headed by then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. From the Pakistan side, there were 3 people, headed by then Foreign Minister Zafarullah Khan Sahab. So here is the inequity, here is the imbalance. If we were to pool our resources together, India understood in 1947 how important it was to have interdisciplinary team together who can address this issue, because we all know that last century's wars were oil, this century's wars are water. Water is the terrorist, water is the victim, water is being used. It's been used in Gaza, it's been used in Bosnia in 1995. So India then understood the importance. We didn't. Now we can wake up. We see the example of all these countries. Why I mentioned Singapore and Norway at the beginning. Singapore and Norway, Singapore with their 5 million people, the government, I work also a little bit in Singapore, they have come up with their own version of international law. Their motto is redefining international law. These 2.5 million people, the other 2.5 are expatriates. These 2.5 million people say, why should we adopt Western concept of international law? We have issues, we have concerns and needs that are not the needs of Canada, that are not the needs of the United States of America. So we will redefine international law as it suits us. That's what we should do. We have our own, we have very particular concerns. Norway did that when Norway decided that they wanted to ban vehicular homicide, meaning deaths that happen because of a traffic accident. When they started, nothing happened. They got the lawyers to draft a bill. The bill failed. It took them 10 years. 10 years of lobbying, and that's the key. The lobbying is with all our departments, all the people that have been mentioned since this morning. They lobbied, one by one, they went to each department, each organ, they found one person, they collected the information, they documented, they made what the West is so good at doing, they made institutional memories, meaning that the institution had a documentation series trail, which meant that it didn't matter who was heading the institution. It didn't matter who was heading it. There was an institutional memory, and they could continue that work. That's what we should do, even between today, the 30th of May, till June 2025, and we can negotiate how we want the Hong Kong Convention to apply to us.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we move on to the third eminent speaker, Admiral Mauzam Ilyas. He is presently heading a project of establishing a shipyard at Gwadar. Sir, first of all, what is the progress of that project before I ask the actual question of the subject?
Okay, thank you very much, Babar. Shipbuilding as a subject in Pakistan has been under discussion since Pakistan came into being. And let me give you a little bit of historical context. Actually, in the first decade of Pakistan coming into being, we were very quick enough. We realized that we needed the shipbuilding capacity in Pakistan, and we were able to establish 3 shipyards. At that time, during the 50s, Karachi shipyard was established. There were 2 other shipyards which were established in the ports of Chittagong in East Pakistan, then East Pakistan, and we were able to build ships from there during that period, ships which were actual workhorses in the global shipping industry. And we continued to build ships until the 70s, when there was a very big change in the global shipping industry. They started using much larger ships with much bigger capacity, both in terms of cargo handling, be it containers or be it oil or other stuff. And Pakistan lagged behind. Pakistan could not cope up with the requirements that were present in the global shipping industry. There were bigger ships, we could not dock them, we could not construct them in Pakistan. The resulting loss of revenue was that we just stopped there. And the shipyard at Karachi, it did not have any capacity to grow. The growth margins were very less. It exists even now in Karachi port, and Karachi port is already so congested that we are unable to expand this yard facilities any further into the land. And then there is a big void from 70s until the start of this century, which is year 2000. Although Pakistan Navy, as the advisor to the government on maritime affairs, kept harping this subject that we need to have shipyards, we need to come up and extract our share from the global shipping market. Yet we were unable to convince the powers that be and the decision-making circles to allow us to establish a shipyard, allow Pakistan to go into shipbuilding industry until 2003, when this subject came into being. You talked about Admiral Iftikhar Rao. He was again very pivotal on this time as Deputy Chief of Naval Staff Operations, when he floated the subject of establishing a shipyard at Gwadar. So this starting point for the shipyard at Gwadar goes and dates back to year 2003. However, then there was a continuous struggle to find a suitable site at Gwadar. The federal government continued asking the provincial government, and there remained an indifference amongst the government of Balochistan, I must say, and we could not get the right site for. You asked about the current progress on that project. Let me tell you that this shipyard is likely to be established at Surbandar, very close to Gwadar port, at a model that we did discuss in the morning. Dr. Saab also did mention about this, on a PPP model. Having done the feasibility that has been approved by the government of Pakistan, by the federal government, and having allocated budget for that, we are now waiting for that suitable site of Surbandar. As soon as we get it, we will inshallah be able to start the feasibility studies and then ask for a PPP intervention and an investor with a foreign direct investment to come into Pakistan and build up this on a build, operate, transfer or BOO basis or whatever. So this is a very brief overview of where the Gwadar port project currently stands. Having said that, Gwadar port, we did talk about, Dr. Saab also mentioned in the start that Gwadar port is not the terminal of CPEC. It is the starting point. It is the beginning point. Gwadar port, due to Pakistan's strategic location in the in the Indian Ocean is at a place where there are, as you also mentioned, 120,000 ships passing very close to this port annually. And these ships require a lot of, the ships which are already at sea, floating and traveling, they require a lot of certification under the international law, for which they require docks, the shipyard. It is only the shipyard that can provide that certification. So these ships, whenever coming and plying into this area, will require that certification and come to a port which is close by. And Gwadar provides that opportunity, that ideal location, which will, inshallah ta'ala, fetch a lot of revenue for Pakistan. Only for the information of the House, let me tell you that global shipbuilding and repair industry amounts to something like $800 billion per annum. Look at this amount, $800 billion, and with Karachi shipyard currently in Pakistan's pocket, we only earn a fraction of that shipbuilding, because we are not actually tapping that industry at all. At Gwadar, we are planning to construct a shipbuilding yard, which will be constructing ships up to 450 and plus thousand of tons of ships, and that will allow us to tap into that market, which is plying very close to our coastline.
Sir, I totally agree. I can just give you the figures. I just mentioned earlier also that there are about 106,000 ships available in the global market, out of which 35 to 40% are destined to be laid off in next 5 to 8 years because of this Marpol Convention and age-related issues. So there's 40,000 ships will be available for the Gudani and Indian and Bangladeshi recycling yards, which needs to be green. But the remaining 60,000 ships needs to be green and addressing the green shipping technologies. The green shipping technologies include the blast tank management, the fuel type of fuel, use of fuel, their type of propellers, and the underwater noise mechanism for the. So there are a number of technologies which has to be adopted by those 70,000 ships, and all new constructions have to be in line with the green shipping technologies. That also include now the solar energy. Even some there was a ship sailed from thousands of miles with the wind energy in the present times. So people are doing research on that also. But how much, sir, our shipyard in Karachi shipyard or the future shipyard is ready to undertake this modification of the existing fleet? Although construction is a new business, but we know that this market is there. How much our Karachi shipyard and the Gwadar shipyard, when it comes into play, will be able to tap in this area? Your comments.
Thank you very much, Babar. When I talk about Karachi shipyard, because it is not constructing the merchant ships for the time being, except for one that has been ordered by Pakistan National Shipping Corporation. You did mention about the limited number of ships that PNSC operates. So they have ordered construction of 2 ships.
I think, sir, that is also put on hold.
Put on hold. Okay. Anyway, so Karachi shipyard is following the Geneva, the Marpol Convention, in which they have to abide by the requirements of installing green, propulsion systems, environment-friendly treatment.
major shipping companies like Maersk, Mediterranean Shipping Company, the BP Shipping Company suspended canal passages and redirected traffic via Cape of Good Hope. Some of these statistics of attacks and blockades in Red Sea crisis shows that the Houthis blockade had affected approximately 12% of global trade passing through the Red Sea. And moreover, since November 2023, there have been 133 reported incidents, including 14 vessels struck by missiles, drones, and 18 vessels hijacked. Moreover, Houthis also have threatened 20 submarine cables around the Red Sea. Last but not the least, the Houthis' use of underwater unmanned vehicles marks a significant escalation in the ongoing Red Sea crisis, and it is a the Cape of Good Hope, resulting in a much longer journey. As of end March 2024, the volume of traffic through Suez Canal and Bab el Mandab has dropped by half, and while the alternative route via Cape of Good Hope has witnessed 100% surge in navigation. Both of the routes, the Red Sea and the Cape of Good Hope, are shown in the figure, and this figure also showing the difference and the distance between both the routes. Moreover, ladies and gentlemen, according to the seadistance.net report of 2024, circumnavigating Africa adds 4,575 nautical miles and 12 days in additional sailing time between Shanghai and Rotterdam, assuming an average speed of 16 knots. Here I want to show a table. Ladies and gentlemen, in this table, the table on the screen presents the estimates based on the characteristics of typical weekly liner service on the Asia to North Europe trade route, and assuming an average speed increase of only 1 knot in the case of Cape routing, but the diversion around the Cape causes total sailing distance to increase by 29%, and while the total round voyage time goes up by 17%. However, despite of the additional costs and the time involved, most larger container carriers have suspended operations in Red Sea and they started opting the route of Cape. Moreover, some other facts like a report from Linerlytica data shows that between December 15, 2023 and January 7, 2024, 354 container ships were diverted to the Cape route, representing 16.4% of the global container fleet. The second major implication of the Red Sea crisis on the global supply chain is on the changes in the freight rates and the surcharges practices. The Red Sea crisis has significantly affected the spot freight rates, and also, according to the JP Morgan research estimate, the disruption can also add 0.7 percentage points to the global core good inflation during 2024. Moving on to the countermeasures taken by major powers. As the situation got escalated, the US, French, and British warships have initially shot down the Houthi drones and missiles. And after that, in December 2023, the US announced to assemble a coalition of countries who had agreed to carry out against the attacks. This coalition called as the Operation Prosperity Guardian, and it included different nations including UK, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Seychelles, and Spain. And moreover, on January 11th, the US and Britain also began bombing dozens of Houthi-linked targets in Yemen. Not only this, also in addition to Operation Prosperity Guardian, the European Union has launched its own naval mission on February 19th to protect cargo ships in the Red Sea. And that naval mission has sent European warships and airborne early warnings to the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, and the surrounding waters. Ladies and gentlemen, Red Sea crisis has become a major maritime crisis in recent times, and to mitigate that, few collective efforts from the major powers are required. Like, firstly, the ultimatum given by Houthi, which was a ceasefire agreement in Gaza, offers the most appealing route to end the attacks in Red Sea. But however, a Gaza ceasefire alone may not be sufficient to halt the Houthi attacks and restore free navigation in the Red Sea and Bab el Mandab. Therefore, further pressure is needed, perhaps through a resumption of diplomatic conversations or economic pressures on Houthi benefactors in Iran. Finally, China may seek to mediate an end to attacks. As a major export oriented economy seeking to maintain access to global markets, China's exposure to increasing shipping costs is high, and any sign of weakening demand or substitution for Chinese goods would probably elicit a strong response from Beijing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your patient listening. That's it from my side.
Thank you, Ms. Javeria. Before moving on to our next presenter, let me tell you that we have another hall next to it, and there are two parallel sessions going on side by side in both of the hall. A total of 9 papers to be presented in each of the session. Our third presenter is Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim, and the title of his paper is Green Shipping for Mitigation Maritime Pollution. Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ahmed Ibrahim, Research Associate from Pakistan Navy War College. And the topic I'm going to present is about green shipping and how it can be used for mitigation of marine pollution. Like this, okay. Worthy audience, as we all know that oceans are a very integral component of our planet. Enveloping over 70% of our planet's surface, oceans have shaped the human civilization. It is now a mode of connectivity, and in modern times, our dependency on oceans has increased manifold. With more than 80% of global trade, transportation share, the shipping industry contribution to globalization has been momentous, but the cost of this contribution is also enormous. With almost 3% share in overall greenhouse emissions, shipping at a casual glance appears to be the least climate destructive mode of transportation. But this amount cannot be ignored at all. Every year, the cargo vessels emit more than 1 billion metric tons of carbon and other contaminated emissions into the atmosphere. To put it into perspective, if global shipping was a country, it would have been the 6th largest producer of greenhouse gas emissions. International Maritime Organization has set up the target for 40% oxides and nitrogen oxides which are toxic and severely contaminate the environment. Instead of HSOs, current ships can be retrofitted to support low emission fuels like liquefied natural gases, hydrogen, methanol, or even ammonia.